Another village in Bosnia was in ruins. This time, Muslims from Srebrenica had launched a raid against the Serbs.
Ubiju po jednog, dvojicu, trojicu, evo, do sela nisu dolazili, ali su selo sada popalili, evo vidite tu.
Nastupio je trenutak u kome se apsolutno nije moglo očekivati da sve to bude pod nekakvom razumnom kontrolom.
The Serbs decided to seize Srebrenica. This decision would force the Americans to bring peace to Bosnia. But only after the people here had been sacrificed. Srebrenica was a refuge for tens of thousands of Muslims fleeing the Serbs. For 3 years, they'd been surrounded.
Ovaj narod je napačen i on želi slobodu. Želi da se vrati na svoja ognjišta. Želi da živi normalnim životom kako i svi ostali narodi i narodnosti živi.
Nas teroriše za grupom oficira upravo zbog pripreme naroda na takav egzodus, odnosno na operaciju koja se pripremala na Srebrenicu, bio je od strane generalštaba pozvan za instrukcije.
The order was a trick. Once out, Srebrenica's commanders were forbidden to return. The enclave was no longer the top priority for the Bosnian government.
Mnoga primirja, mnogi politički ustupci naših državnih organa bili uslovljeni da se spasi Srebrenica i žepa.
Srebrenica was doomed. The Bosnian government had realized that nobody in the West, not even their most ardent supporter, would lift a finger to save it.
Already in June, the fate of Srebrenica seemed pretty gloomy. We already then were considering that some kind of swap for at least the smaller of the eastern enclaves for more territory in central Bosnia might be one of the things that would be wise.
In early July, the Serbs attacked. Deprived of its commanders, Srebrenica could not resist the Serb advance.
Naša zadnja poruka je bila da mi više nemamo vremena za javljanje novo. Da je Srebrenica pala i da narod ide u proboj.
To escape the Serb soldiers, thousands of Muslims in Srebrenica fled into the forest.
Prvi prijelaz front linije bio je hod kroz minsko polje. Išli smo u koloni jedan po jedan, ona ispred mene, gdje stane tu moram stati ja, ako neću da nagazim na mene.
They set out on a 40-mile walk through a forest ringed by Serb patrols.
Zamislite 15.000 ljudi kad se postroji jedan iza drugog, jedan po jedan.
Those Muslims who couldn't face the trek clung to the UN for protection. $25,000 Muslims now overwhelmed the UN base in Srebrenica. But the handful of UN troops there were shoved aside by the Bosnian Serb army and its commander, General Mladic.
Koliko ti je godina? Kako ti ima? Molim vas, budite veoma strpljivi. Samo malo. Svi koji žele da ostanu, mogu da ostanu. Svi koji žele da napuste ovu teritoriju također mogu. Obezbedili smo dovoljno.
The leader of the Serbs in Bosnia also put on a performance for the cameras.
Our army is very, very responsible. People, civilians, as well as UN personnel are completely safe and secure.
The Serbs laid on coaches for the civilians, but when they reached Muslim territory, only women and children emerged. The men of Srebrenica had disappeared.
Bilo je stvarno strašno dočekati tu noć. Kupe odozdo ljude koji spavaju, odvode i tamo, tišina je malo, zatim se čuje love psa, laju, zatim opet tišina, čuju se kasnije meci, pobiju i vraćaju se na drugu stranu, uzimaju opet.
There was no refuge. In this field alone, some 2,000 of Srebrenica's men are buried. The killing went on for days.
U ceranskim lukama smo naišli, znači, na leševe, nisu bili pokopani. Od 130, možda do 200 ljudi je bilo strijeljano tu. Bio je, ne znam, bili smo prvo pokušali da vidimo da li možemo nekog poznati, međutim, bio je smrad veliki, ne znam, nije se moglo tu postupiti.
The Muslims walking through the forest were easy prey for the Serbs.
Sam život u Srebrenici je bio pakao. Ali onaj put, ono što se desilo uz put, to je 9. krug pakla.
Ajde, momci, živite, momci!
Već su nas bilo opkolili tu, komplet. Počeli su granatirati. Počeli su zoljama tući na narod. I onda narod nije imao drugog izbora nego i krenuo tamo da se predaje.
Ste mnogo uplašili? Kako se neš uplašiti? Ajde, bole, ne boj, šta se bojiš? Ajde, ajde. Ajde, slobodno.
Ljudi bi počeli da vrište, da postanu agresivni. Ukoliko bi malo oružje, obavezno bi ga upotrijebili.
Tada su počela masovna samoubistva.
Gledao sam 3 druga, 3 dobra druga, kako se zagrlili i jedan od njih izvlači bombu i ubija se 3.
Two years earlier, a French general had made a pledge to the people of Srebrenica.
You are now under the protection of the UN forces.
Now the new French president called on the UN to salvage its honor.
J'ai proposé à nos principaux partenaires, à ceux qui sont les plus attachés à ces règles du droit international, du droit des gens à vivre, à être respectés, de réagir ensemble, de façon concertée, de façon forte et limitée, en clair, de reprendre l'enclave de Srebrenica.
No one believes that either the French or other UN forces in Bosnia were either of a number or with the military equipment required, nor did they have a mandate to carry out what would be an act of war.
Britain's stance cracked open the alliance that had led the UN in Bosnia. President Chirac looked for support elsewhere.
The president heard President Chirac out with great interest, demurred on the, as I recall, on the military wisdom of it or feasibility of it, and then suggested the alternative.
Clinton told the French president he was prepared to use force, but only to create a stable balance of power in Bosnia. So the president's men mapped out a plan. It required transfers of population that earlier they might have condemned as ethnic cleansing. The isolated Muslim enclaves near the border with Serbia would go to the Serbs, but on the other side of the country, a large stretch of Serb lands would go to the Muslims.
And that meant that rather than draw the lines in a kind of a higgledy-piggledy way, that might